Most people think they know what love is until they try to explain it. Is it a feeling, a choice, a chemical reaction, or something we invented because the alternative felt too empty? Here's the uncomfortable truth. The moment you start defining love, it slips through your fingers. And that's exactly why humans have argued about it for thousands of years. For most of human history, love wasn't romantic at all. Ancient societies treated it as a side effect, not a goal. Marriages were economic alliances, survival strategies, or political tools. In ancient Mesopotamia and Rome, love was often seen as dangerous, something that could weaken judgment, disrupt families, or destabilize power. Even Aristotle described love less as passion and more as mutual usefulness. So when did love start to feel like the center of everything? The shift begins quietly, and not with science, but with storytelling. In medieval Europe, poets and troubadours started writing about courtly love, intense longing, devotion without possession, desire elevated to something almost sacred. This wasn't how people lived, it was how they fantasized. But fantasy is powerful. Over time, these stories rewired expectations. Love stopped being optional and started feeling essential. Fast forward to modern science, and suddenly love becomes measurable. Neuroscientists discovered that romantic love activates the same brain regions as addiction. Dopamine spikes, serotonin drops, and oxytocin floods the system, creating bonding and obsession. This is why early love feels euphoric, irrational, and consuming. But here's where it gets interesting. Those chemicals don't last. The in-love phase typically fades within months or a few years. And yet, some people stay deeply connected long after that rush is gone. This is where scientists distinguish between passionate love and companionate love, the quieter bond built on trust, shared history, and emotional safety. In other words, the feeling changes, but the attachment can deepen. Still, that explanation feels incomplete. Because if love is just biology, why do cultures experience it so differently? Why does love look dramatic and explosive in some societies, but calm and restrained in others? Anthropologists suggest a provocative idea. Love isn't just felt, it's learned. The way we recognize love is shaped by stories, movies, religion, and expectations handed down over generations. In this view, love is partly a social script we step into without realizing it. There's a real historical moment that captures this tension perfectly. In the 12th century, a philosopher named Peter Abelard fell in love with his student, Eloise. Their relationship was intense, intellectual, and forbidden. When it was discovered, Abelard was brutally punished, and both were forced into religious life. Yet they continued writing letters to each other for decades, letters that still exist today. What makes them remarkable isn't the romance, but the conflict. Eloise openly questioned whether love should require sacrifice, obedience, or suffering at all. Nearly 1,000 years ago, she was asking the same questions we still ask today. This leads to a lesser-known but compelling theory. Love may not be a single thing at all. Some psychologists argue that we bundle multiple needs, connection, validation, desire, safety, meaning, into one word, because it's easier than admitting how complex we are. When we say, "I love you," we might be expressing a whole system of needs, fears, and hopes in one sentence. And that's why love feels so powerful and so fragile. When one part of that system breaks, we say love is gone, even if other parts remain. We expect love to be constant, but humans aren't. We change. Our brains change. Our circumstances change. Love has to stretch to survive that, or it collapses under expectations it was never designed to carry. So what exactly is love? It's not just chemistry, but chemistry matters. It's not just culture, but culture shapes it. It's not just a choice, but choices sustain it. Love sits at the intersection of biology, story, and meaning, and that's why no single definition ever feels complete. Maybe love was never meant to be fully understood. Maybe its role isn't to make sense, but to make life bearable, significant, and shared. And maybe the reason we keep searching for a definition is because deep down, we're hoping that understanding love will somehow make it easier to hold on to. If love means something different to you now than it did 5 years ago, you're not broken. You're human. And I'm curious, do you think love is something we feel, something we build, or something we learn to recognize? Let's talk about it in the comments.